Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mubarak's podcast. This is Hashmat Mubarak, your host. I'm very excited today to introduce our guest, Carmel. She holds a bachelor degree in psychology and another in criminal justice from Georgia State University. That alone tells us about her dedication, understanding people's mind, and fighting for justice at the same time. In the world where Afghanistan is going through one of its darkest times, unfortunately, voices like hers matters more than ever. Her perspective is not just academic, it's, to be honest, deeply human. And today we want to connect her journey with the struggle of Afghan women and the fight for freedom. Welcome, Karma, to Mubarak's podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Let me start with my question from here. My first question that UNICEF says more than 2.1 million Afghan girls are banned from secondary education. This makes Afghanistan the only country, the only country in the world where girls are officially denied schooling. I'm sure that as someone who studies psychology and criminal justice, you know better than me that education is not just about books. It is the foundation of hope, is the foundation of freedom and dignity. Psychologists often talk about how the loss of education creates feeling of worthlessness and helplessness that can last a lifetime. Imagine a 14-year-old girl who wakes up every morning and sees her brother going to school while she's forced to stay home. The pain is silent, but I completely understand, which is very deep. My question is this, that from your viewpoint, what does this kind of trauma mean for Afghan girls and women?
Well, thank you for your question. I think that it sets back a lot of women, and not just women, in the long term of Afghanistan's culture, their economy, their academic standing on the world stage. I think it sets them back milestones by not educating all people and specifically focusing on men. What does that do for the women? How does that help them? It will only set them back in their lives. They can't access opportunity. They can't drive, they can't read, they can't write. What kind of life is this for them? What kind of life do they have to look forward to in the future if you don't give them the tools and the skills that they need to benefit them now?
Yep. There are several reports from several media, Fox News, BBC, ABC, that Afghan women are now living in what many call gender apartheid. They cannot study, as you have mentioned. They cannot work or even walk freely in the streets without mahram. For those people who don't know what does mahram means someone like your family, in your family, like your brother, your father, or your husband. Yet, despite these restrictions, Afghan women continue to resist quietly and loudly, something that we are proud of them. They turn underground schools, they organize secret networks, and they use social media to tell the world that what's happening in Afghanistan today, right now. In psychology, this resilience is powerful. It shows that even in the darkest times, people create light. But at the same time, in criminal justice, we see it as resistance against oppression. It was so interesting to
Exactly.
hear that. Uh, do you believe this resilience will, once they break the system of oppression? It might be an imaginary question, but it will be so interesting to hear from you.
Well, it is a very interesting question, whether imaginary or not. And I do believe that this resilience will eventually break down what's happening because things cannot go on like this for forever. And as my mother always says, this too shall pass. I think what we're seeing in Japan, it has nothing to do with education, but I think their population crisis has a lot to do with the fact that they didn't import people, they didn't import workers. And Afghanistan is looking at the same kind of situation in the future because they won't have enough educated people to work. They won't have enough educated people to be in the positions such as teachers, doctors, nurses. They won't have women to help them out. So everything is for the men to do in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, and there just simply aren't enough of them to sustain the country where it stands today in the long-term future of Afghanistan.
Yes, of course, but according to UNAMA that I have read a recent update from them that violence against women has increased since the current regime took over, but the most cases go unreported, unfortunately. The justice system no longer protects them. Many women live in silence because reporting abuse could even put them in greater danger. Psychologists, say silence bells, intergenerational trauma that mothers pass their fear to children, and the cycle repeats. But at the same time, women are still speaking up whenever they can, even if the cost is so high. I can give thousands of examples from young women and young Afghan boys that they are standing and they're fighting, like what I'm doing. And I would like to say in this episode something that I'm sure I know that one day the regime will come also after me. And I don't know when, but I'm sure they will, 100%. Yet I'm not
I
afraid
hope that they don't.
because we stand for something bigger than fear. We stand for our rights, we stand for our freedom, we stand for justice. It's our right to speak, to raise our voice, and to defend what is right for everyone. They may silence me one day, but not the truth. And this video, this moment, and this episode will remain as a memory of our fight. My question is this: that how can Afghan women break the cycle of silence?
I'm not sure how without repercussions, without severe, violent, traumatic repercussions. I'm not sure how they would be able to break the cycle in a peaceful way because, I mean, ultimately that is what they want. But I don't believe that the regime is going to oblige that. I think they're going to do everything in their power against that, and as we've seen. And I'm not sure, other than women continuously advocating for themselves, men like you continuously advocating for women. And I also think that governments around the world should step up and step in and help out because these women are there alone. And as you said earlier, the regime one day maybe will come for you too. You, your family, the people that you know and are close to. So who will be left to speak out? It's up to other governments, it's up to other countries to get involved, to help out because what they're doing is not right. Women need to be educated. We need the benefits of educated people in this world as a society. We need that, not just for Afghanistan. And what Afghanistan is doing, I don't see how women can feel comfortable to speak up against them. I don't see how anyone could feel comfortable to speak up against them because that's not the regime. That's not what we're doing. And that isn't right. People need to be educated. Girls need to remain resilient. Girls need to continue fighting for what they believe in. And that is their own education. That is the pursuit of their happiness in the form of academic success.
Yet you talked
They're more
about.
than willing to learn. I'm
Mhm,
sorry.
mhm.
They're more than willing to learn. They're more than willing to get educated and educate others around them. I don't understand why other countries aren't stepping in to speak up and to help them.
Yes, you have mentioned that other governments and other people should also stay connected to Afghan's struggle, but I would like to say how. How can other governments, other people can stay connected to Afghanistan's struggle?
I think the best way to stay connected to Afghanistan struggle is number one, to be educated on what is going on in Afghanistan. Number two, spread that. Awareness matters. Awareness can help everyone in this life, in this world, see what needs to be done next. I also think a lot of women are educated around the world, and I think it's a responsibility and a duty that they have to step up and speak up for these other women.
Mhm.
Did I cut out?
But But the current regime claimed that their restrictions are based on religion and culture. But UNICEF, Human Rights Watch, and even Islamic scholars say repeatedly this is false, this is wrong, and this is not based on religion, and this is not based on culture, but it's political control, not culture. A psychologist says that when people are told lies long enough, they may start to believe them. This is exactly what is happening right now in Afghanistan. Better than me that this is dangerous. It makes operations look normal. Justice teaches us that a culture can never excuse crimes against humanity. Uh, it was so interesting to hear from you as someone who studies psychology that how we can fight this false narrative.
I think it's important to remember education is power, knowledge is power. And I also would ask people to remember, moreover than religion, your personal moral beliefs have to account for something, and you can't just read any book. I am a different religion. I am Hindu, and it doesn't matter what any book is saying, whether the Bible, the Vedas, the Quran, it doesn't matter. You have to have your own moral compass in this life, in this world, and you have to follow suit with what you believe is right. Now, the regime believes that women shouldn't be educated, and they're using religion as the tool or the crux to do this to people. But the reality is, God, Buddha, Allah, whoever is watching this, whatever religion anyone may be, God is not going to help or look after people who are using religion in his name, or if you're Hindu, her name, because we have goddesses, in vain to oppress other people. that in no religion does it teach you that that is acceptable or that that's okay. I think a lot of the regime is misunderstanding um, the nature of religion. They're misunderstanding their own beliefs. And I also feel that in the long term, they themselves need education because if they had education, if they weren't lacking in knowledge, then they would see how, in the long term of Afghanistan's economy, Afghanistan setting on the world stage, just Afghanistan day-to-day life of Afghani people. I think that they would realize how much hurt and how damaging it is what they're doing because you have all these women, almost 2 million women, 2.1 million women, I believe, right, who
Yeah.
aren't getting educated. So 20 years from now, what will these 2 million women be doing? Are they just going to be um, living off of the system in Afghanistan? How will they survive? What will they do to survive? What is the country going to do to take care of these women that they themselves refuse to educate? How are they going to navigate that in the future?
Right. Completely right.
So don't, here we have that expression, you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. Well, I would suggest that they don't make that bed yet. They figure out what they need to do because this uh, refusing to educate women, it's absolute insanity. It sets not just Afghanistan, it sets the world back. It sets humanity back. These women are out here, they want to be educated, they want to go to school, they want to get opportunities, and they want to learn the skills and obtain the tools that they need to get ahead in this life, and the regime is preventing them from doing so.
Yes, there is a
I'm
beautiful
sorry about
sentence.
that.
There is a beautiful sentence from Martin Luther King, person I love the most, you know. He said that once freedom is never given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. Uh, it carries a lot of power, you know, but Afghan women today
Yes,
are proving this every day. You know, they march, they speak, they write, they sing a song,
yes,
and they continue fighting even when the risks are deadly, as I have mentioned before. In psychology, this is just resistance, you know, it's survival. But at the same time, injustice is the beginning of a revolution. You know, many believe that Afghanistan is on the edge of change, even if it feels slow. But let me ask this: that do you think that Afghanistan is moving toward a revolution led by women? As we can see that there are thousands and thousands of girls, Afghan girls across the globe, that they are raising their voice and fighting for freedom.
absolutely they are. Absolutely. And I hope that they do. And I believe in women. I am a woman. I support women. I believe that they can do this. It won't be easy. It won't be without bloodshed. And that is more than unfortunate. That's disheartening. It's barbaric, especially in this day and age where knowledge should be able to flow so freely. I mean, right now we're doing this over um, telecommunications. So the fact that we can access each other from one part of the world to another should tell us the world is moving forward in a direction where we need people to understand science, technology, mathematics, and so much more. And refusing to educate these women is only going to set them back, not a year, not 2 years, decades, centuries, maybe even in the future, depending on how AI and technology moves forward. And I believe that these women's resilience, I believe these Afghani women, they will overcome this. It won't be easy. It won't be pretty. And it's not right that this is something that they should even have to overcome. I think it's immoral. I think frankly, I think it's disgusting. I think that the men in the regime should be ashamed of themselves for treating women this way, for not wanting more for their sisters, their mothers, their own children. I think that they should educate their own selves on what it takes to run a country, what it takes to hold a group of people and provide for them, not just providing a living space or food. You want a clean standard of living, not just any old shack to live in. And you want money to flow in and out. You want
Mhm.
to improve people's family lives. You want to have food accessible. And all these things stem from education. Okay, without education, there's nothing to be had. Uh, and the issue is not that women are running from education. The issue is that the regime is refusing to honor their request to have an education, which it shouldn't be. It should be a right, not a privilege.
Yes, of course. Uh, but the only weapon that we have right now left is our voices and to speak, to stand, and to fight. And I would like to kindly ask Afghan girls, Afghan young men, to stand shoulder to shoulder and to fight for what is right. But at the end, I would like to say that we're proud of every Afghan girl who dares to dream, to speak, to act, both inside and outside the country. Their courage lights the path for others, showing that even in the darkest times, hope cannot be silenced. The work they are doing, fighting for rights, education, and equality is nothing short of revolutionary. At the end, if there is
Right.
anything that I have missed there, or if you have any message from your for your sisters inside Afghanistan, Mike is yours. You can throw
Yes.
it.
So all the Afghani women who may be watching this and hearing this message, I support you. I'm not the only woman who is on your side. On behalf of all the women who support education and support freedom in this world, we are with you. It may not feel like it, it may not seem like it. We are not there day to day and facing this kind of life the way you are facing, but know you have our full support. And
Thank
I
you.
hope and I know that a day will come when you do gain the opportunity to educate yourself. So do not give up on this fight. This too shall pass. You will overcome this. And the rest of us in the world, we will do what we can to make sure our governments help
Yes, thank you, Carmel,
because
for
we
your
should.
time.